Hi and welcome to another class on English for IBPS. Good morning, this is Deepa Shankar. Welcome to my class. So today we are going to do something called phrase replacement. Okay, so before we start with our class, as I said, the goal for this class is going to be phrase replacement. Now this is a kind of question that has been appearing in your IBPS SBI exams for some time now. Okay, so this is nothing but a type of sentence correction question. It is an extension of the error spotting exercise. Okay, what do you do in error spotting? You spot the error. It's as simple as that, correct? So there is a sentence given and there might be an error in the given sentence. If there is an error in phrase replacement or in sentence correction, what you do is you pick an option that kind of corrects, resolves the issue in the original sentence. Got it? So the idea here is to correct the given incorrect sentence. Now also remember that there might be a chance that the given sentence is correct as such. Okay? So in that particular case, you leave it as such. It's very important that you keep it in mind this moment and going forward, that there is a chance that the given sentence could be correct after all. Okay, so I think I've discussed this already. Student psychology, it just tells you that the given sentence is possibly not correct after all. There is this inherent urge to find a fault where there is no fault. Okay, so don't fall for that trap. Remember that you have to give it a thorough read, figure out if there is an error in the first place. There isn't, just move, mark no error, no improvement required, move on. Okay, so that is about the phrase replacement exercise. So we go to the previous session's CPP question. Now, the previous session's CPP question was extremely vocabulary based. Okay, obviously that was a set of 10 questions on sentence completion, correct? And it is very important that you have a very good diction in order to crack these exercise questions. Let's look into it. It is a familiar dash that a Prime Minister's personality ends up influencing the PMO and its dash. Inevitably, his personality, his affability, a robust dash, a nationalist's dash, a disdain for humbug and bogusness, and a code of personal decency came to define the PMO. So, even before I look into the options, I know one thing, that the entire sentence says something positive about someone. Okay, so I am looking at positive words here. Okay, so that is very, very, very important. So 2 out of 4 have to be positive. Okay, so these 2 are neutral. Now remember that here you're talking about Prime Minister's personality. Okay, so I'm looking for a word that means something like trait, a property of some sort, okay, a characteristic maybe. Okay, so I'm looking for something similar to that here in the first blank. The second blank, influencing the PMO. The PMO stands for Prime Minister's office, okay, and its dash, something related to the Prime Minister's office, okay, and these 2 blanks have to be positive. Okay, now look at these sets and eliminate anything that sounds negative. Okay, now in this case there is no negative word. Okay, so all of them are actually contenders. Okay, and with the first blank, facet, truism, and chant. Chant, would you say it is a familiar chant? Okay, what's a chant? A mantra of some sort that you keep chanting. Okay, So that is possibly not the answer, okay. And then facet. Facet is a side, a face, okay. And then there is truism. Now both are contenders, and of these, truism is a better fit here because it is a positive word here, okay. So we go for truism, and then once I've figured that out, I know that B and D are my contenders. Now even if I were to look at A as an option, there is only A here, correct? So in the first go, I've eliminated these two, okay. Now look at this, of these, in the second blank you have okay. In the second blank, you can have only F or E because the given options give you only that, that chance, okay. So between F and E, what do I choose? There is temperament, and then there is figure, okay. Now look at this, influencing the PMO and its figure. No, figure can be mean a mathematical, entity, or just an illustration of some sort. That doesn't fit in. So I would ideally reject E, okay. So my options are between AFHL and BFHL, okay. So here H and L will have to be the same, right, because my options give me only AFHL and BFHL, correct? Are you following me here? Please, if you're watching it, please let me know via comments. Let's probably, have a more interactive session. Okay, so the only options that I have are between A and B, facet and truism. I go for truism because it's the better alternative. That's about it. Okay, so answer is B. Okay, and it makes sense for you to go through all the words and learn all of these words, okay, with their respective meanings. It's very important that you do so. So we've in today's class, I would suggest, as always, we start with a book suggestion, okay. Now today I want to suggest something that is extremely simple, and almost all of us have probably read this as a non-detailed text, okay. It's a favorite among most of us, I would say, okay. So the book is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, okay. It's an all-American Bildungsroman story, okay. Okay, Bildungsroman is nothing but, something to do with adolescents and, the books that are read or suggested for that age group, okay. So it typically narrates a story of a young girl or boy who meets the world, okay. So that is Bildungsroman. Bildung in German means building, okay. So it's all about building a character of some sort, okay. So Tom Sawyer, if you haven't read it, I'm pretty sure all of us have read it at some point of our lives, right? If you haven't, please pick it up, read it. It's a beautiful story of a boy who lives with his aunt and his cousins, and his issues are so, normal. It's all about not liking school, making up excuses not to go to school, and, evading work and whatnot. Okay, so the sequel of this book is Huckleberry Finn, a spin-off character again from this book. Okay, so pick it up, read it if you haven't already done that, which I highly doubt. Okay, so now we go to phrase replacement exercise questions. Okay, now remember that with phrase replacement, the concepts that you need to learn are all about grammatical rules and regulations that we've already seen in our classes earlier. Okay, so revise all of those rules before doing the CPP today. Okay, and let's just look at exercise questions here. Now look at this. Carnivorous mammals can endure what would otherwise be lethal levels of body heat because they have a heat exchange network which kept the brain from getting too hot. Even before I look at the options, I know that this entire thing is a fact. Okay, a fact or a piece of information. For example, going for something very simple here, to drive across the point, the sky is blue. That's a fact. Okay, the sea is blue. The earth is spherical. Okay, now these are facts and it is always presented in simple present. Why is that the case? The sky was blue, the sky is blue. I mean, very predictably, the sky is going to be blue tomorrow as well. Okay, so all facts, well known, established facts, are generally presented to you in simple present. Look at this, this is past, and you're talking about a fact. Huge red flag there. Okay, so when I look at the options, I eliminate options that have past tense, which means A is incorrect, which has kept. Now the which here refers to the heat exchange network. Okay, because they have a heat network exchange which has kept the brain from getting too hot. Kept again is past tense, I eliminate that. Okay, now B, I don't discuss it now because it's simple past. Okay, so let's look at it later. Now look at D, that has been keeping. Okay, now this is present, present continuous. So this is definitely not the grammatical structure to go for when you're dealing with facts. Okay, now having kept, again not the correct tense. You're left only with B. Okay, the exchange network keeps the brain from getting too hot. So B is your answer. What is the grammatical rule that you're seeing here? When you look at facts, well established facts, always stick to simple present tense. Okay, make a note of this. It's very important. The sky is blue, the earth is round. Okay, simple present tense. Next we see the Iroquois were primarily planters but supplementing their cultivation of maize, squash and beans with fishing and hunting. Okay, now first and foremost, this is all you have scope to change. It's in bold. Okay, so typically the phrase that can be changed is given in bold or it's underlined. Okay, so remember that the scope of your change lies within that highlighted part. Okay, you cannot change the rest, which means this cannot be changed. The sentence is going to be in past tense whether you like it or not. Correct? So I need to make sure that whatever is within the phrase is going to be in tandem with the rest, the unchangeable parts, if I can call it that. Okay, now were is past but supplementing ing, that is in present continuous. Correct? So there is a discard. I am looking at something that denotes past tense. Now let's look at the options. Clearly A is eliminated and had supplemented. When you had, it is double past. Okay, now which means I had coffee. Okay, or I had been reading when the phone rang. Okay, so this is your timeline. Okay, I'm here, my present is here, I had been reading when the phone rang. The phone rang is in simple past. Okay, this is now. The phone rang is in simple past. And before that, you have your reading. Okay. So, in order to mention, denote that something happened before your simple past, you have had. Okay. Now, look at this. Are we looking at 2 or more instances? Do you put it on a timeline and then say, you know what, I'm right now at present, I'm talking about 2 or 3 incidents that happened in the past. Do you have 2 or 3 time, points? Ask yourself. Is that the case? I'm talking about one single point in time, back in time. The Iroquois, they lived, they fished, they cultivated, blah, blah, blah. All of it happened in one, as I see it, at one time frame, during one time frame, correct? Okay. So, the had does not make sense here. Then, even though they supplemented. Now, even though is a contrast indicator. Are we looking at contrast here? But supplemented. But is a contrast indicator. Okay. And even though they supplemented blah, 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 what? Okay. The Iroquois were primarily planters, and even though they supplemented their cultivation of maize, squash and beans with fishing and hunting, after even though, I want to have another part. Okay, that's how this particular contrast indicator works. Even though it was raining, the students came on time. Okay, the students came on time even though it was raining. Okay, now look at D, although they supplemented. The difference between even though and although here, with even though, I need something else. Okay. But with although, this part is good enough. Okay, look at this. The Iroquois were primarily planters, although they supplemented their cultivation of blah, blah, blah with fishing and hunting. This makes perfect sense. Your tense is right. This is simple past. Okay, and your contrast indicator is bang on. Then, but with supplementing. The ing does not make sense here. Tense is not right. Correct? So, this is how you go about with your phrase replacement. Any problem here? So, in this particular case, we have looked at, okay, D is your answer here. Okay. What is the grammar rule that you've looked at? Tense. Okay. It's a hybrid tense rule, we'll put it that way. Okay. Next question. Of all the social evils in the country, the system of dowry is most worse. Now, even before I look into the options, of all the social country, so in this set, the universal set, I have several set elements. Okay. Now, you know that with comparison amongst, between is used for 2, while this is used for 2 plus. Okay. Among A, B, C, I prefer C. Between A and B, I prefer B. Okay. So, this is the degree of comparison is very important. Okay. Now, the next rule we have seen with adjectives, degrees of comparison. Okay. Good, better, best, bad, worse, worst. Correct? This is the base adjective. When you have 2 entities, you have better or worse. When you have 3 or more entities, you have best or worst. What is it here? It's worse, and that is only comparative, not superlative. This is comparative and this is superlative, correct? So where you should be using superlative, you are seeing comparative. We need to put that right, correct? So even before I look at the options, I know that that's the problem. So of all this, where do I see superlative? Worst is the worst, D. Okay. Now plug this here. Of all the social evils in the country, the system of dowry is the worst, correct? So I go for this. Now you might contest saying most is superlative. It is wrong to say most bad, most worse. Okay. When you use more and most, okay, it is only with words that do not lend themselves to the comparative and superlative form. For example, big, bigger, biggest. Okay, that is your base form, your comparative and superlative form, correct? But then if you are talking about beautiful, ugly, okay, you can't sorry, not ugly, beautiful, okay, you cannot say beautiful or beautifulest. Those words do not exist in the dictionary, correct? Ramesh, hi, can you repeat the last line once again? I just missed that one. Which one, Ramesh? There is a certain lag in the video, okay? So which line, what was I talking about that you want me to repeat? I'll just wait until you get back. Okay. Okay, I'll just keep going with this and wait for him to, get back. But I'm assuming that it's the question on Iroquois being primarily planters, Ramesh, yes? Okay. Anyhow, I'll come back to that. So now, coming to this, okay, this is wrong. You can't say most bad because the superlative form of bad, worst, already exists. Okay, beautiful, more beautiful, most beautiful, that is completely all right because you don't have a word like beautiful or beautifulest. Okay, any problem there? So here D is your answer. Okay, and what's the grammar rule that you've used? So here it is degree of comparison. Any problem with this? We'll move on. Ramesh, I'm still waiting for you to get back. Less than $1 million are required immediately. Go to the bank and withdraw the cash. Okay. Now look at this. When I say, hey, you know what, I want 1,000 rupees. In this case, 1,000 rupees, that is a single entity, or do you think that it is, plural form? This 1,000 rupees is going to help me or are going to help me? 1,000 rupees are what I need or 1,000 rupees is what I need? Come to a conclusion. Ramesh, yes. Good morning, by the way. And if you can answer this question also, it would be great. Less than $1 million are required immediately. Go to the bank and withdraw the cash. Now, remember when you talk about cash currency units, okay, ideally it is seen as one entity. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. Okay. So, in this case I am looking at something that is single unit. Okay. Were, that is plural, was is singular, less than ₹1,000,000 was required immediately. You look at immediately and then there is the phrase you go and withdraw. So, that is in the future. So, the past tense here, I am sorry about that, here it is past tense, correct. Look at this, less than ₹1,000,000 of rupees to be required. No, that is incorrect grammatical usage. Contextually, to be does not have any space here at all. Okay, to be is entirely wrong. The infinitive form is not used here. Is, less than ₹1,000,000 of rupees is required immediately. Perfecto. So, D is your answer. Okay, and now plug this in here, less than ₹1,000,000 of rupees is required immediately, go to the bank and withdraw the cash. Any problem? Hey Ramesh, I am still waiting for you. Okay, so if you have a doubt, you can just get back to me over another comment. Would you please do that? Okay, so D is the answer here. What is the grammar rule that we've seen here? That is subject verb agreement. Okay, and in this we have seen singular versus plural subject and its corresponding verb. Any problem? Now look at this, man is caught in a vicious cycle where he is endless try to gratify his needs. Okay, number one, endless. Okay, ideally this has to be an adverb. Okay, endless is an adjective here, try is a verb. Okay, so to change this to an adjective I need endlessly. Any problem there? Okay, so I am looking for adverbs. Or I can say endless in trying, that is also right. Okay, now look at this, endlessly try to gratify. Man is caught in a vicious circle. This is in simple present, which means this is also in present, correct? Endlessly try to gratify, where he is trying to gratify and not try to gratify. He is trying, not he is try, correct? So I eliminate this because the verb form is wrong. Now look at this, where man is caught in a vicious circle where he is endlessly trying to gratify his needs. This makes sense. So this is a strong contender. Okay, so this is in present, there is absolutely no problem with the tense, and then my adverb for the verb trying is perfectly all right, there is no problem there. Okay, so this is a strong contender. Now look at C, endless in trying, where he is endless in trying to gratify. Had it been just gratify, then it would have made sense, but gratifying is wrong. Okay, ended, no, it's in the past. Okay, we are not looking at the past tense, we are looking at present tense. So D is your answer. Any problem here? Okay, so what is the grammar rule that we've used? Number one, adverb versus adjective. Where do you use an adverb? To describe a verb. Where do you use an adjective? To describe a noun. Also remember that if you describe, intensify an adjective, that also becomes an adverb, right? We've already seen I'm very hungry. Hungry is an adjective. The very prefix to hungry, that is an adverb. Okay, you are adding a degree of intensity to hunger, and that is your adverb here. So the other verb, the other rule that you've seen is tense. Any problem? Okay, so now let's have some fun. We've seen quite a few exercise questions. Okay, so we'll have a look at vocabulary, and today we will be seeing German loan words. What are the typical German words that you know of? Well, I know Blitzkrieg. What is Blitzkrieg? Blitz is lightning. Krieg is war. Literally, it means lightning war. So when the the opponents of the World War II, okay, when they saw that the Germans were attacking at lightning speed, without when they least expected it, they called it Blitzkrieg. Okay, lightning war. All right. So that is one. Then anything else? Let's look at the most basic word, automat. This is of German origin, meaning self. Auto means self. Okay, automat, self-running, self-functioning. Doppelganger. Okay, now this is your double. Okay, now let's say that you look at someone who looks and talks and behaves in a very similar fashion with I don't know, similar to your own self, similar to someone you know. Okay, you typically say, you know what, he's my doppelganger, she is my doppelganger. Okay, or you can say, you know what, Deepa, I met your doppelganger today. Okay, so this is double. Okay, a body double. Hinterland. Hinterland is used very much in English. Okay, now all of these words are borrowed from German to English. So all of these words find their own part in the English dictionary. Remember that very well. Okay, hinterland means rural place. Okay, so typically when you say the Indian hinterland, you actually mean Indian rural places, villages, for example, the countryside. Poltergeist. Geist is the root word for ghost. I mean, it means ghost in German. Okay, so how many of you remember Peeves, the poltergeist from Harry Potter? Also remember, peeve means irritation. One of my pet peeves is blah blah blah. Okay, now if you remember the character in Harry Potter, Peeves the poltergeist, okay, he was a ghost, a shape-shifting ghost, okay, who was very naughty, and typically he was always irritating someone, hence the name Peeves. Yeah, okay, so poltergeist is a ghost of some sort. Okay, thanks to Harry Potter, we know that it's a shape-shifting ghost. Then there is Zeitgeist. Okay, now you know that Geist is the root word for ghost. It also means spirit. Spirit, and then Zeit means time in German. Okay, so Zeitgeist means spirit of the time. Okay, app-based learning is the zeitgeist of our times. Okay, which means the spirit of today is all about app-based learning. HashLearn offers you the advantage. You sit at home, you log into HashLearn videos, and you learn. Okay, spirit of the time. Bildungsroman. We started the class with Bildungsroman, coming of age. Okay, it's all about, and typically this is used in literature. Okay, So Bildungsroman means adolescent time, typically used to describe books that are meant for 12, 13-year-olds who are just entering the adult world from their childhood. Spiel means play. Show me what Spiel you have. Okay, so that again is a German origin word. In German and in English, of course, it means play. Schadenfreude. This is a very important word and a very interesting word as well. Schadenfreude means being happy with someone else's misery. Okay. Schade is misery. Okay. Freude is happiness. Okay. Schadenfreude is you being happy at someone else's misery. Now we look at previous contest question. The woman in the abusive marriage suffered a dash syndrome of sorts. So we are in some sort of a European hangover the past couple of classes. Okay. The correct answer is Stockholm Syndrome. This is a phrase that is very, very, what do you call? It's a psychological term. When you are caught in a Stockholm Syndrome, you fall in love with your abductor. This comes from some real life example where someone was kidnapped and held by her abductors in Stockholm, and she started developing feelings for her kidnappers. Okay, so that is Stockholm Syndrome. Look at this, the woman in the abusive marriage. So this is a negative context. Suffered a Stockholm Syndrome of sorts. Okay, so she falls in love with the abusive spouse. Okay, so this is a Stockholm Syndrome. I just gave these to to confuse you. There is no Vienna syndrome, Paris syndrome, Venice syndrome, or Prague syndrome. Okay. And today's context, all the very best. Go ahead. So I hope the contest questions are, interesting enough. Please get back to us and let us know if you would like a certain sort of questions. The idea behind contest questions, of course, is to, make it more enthusiastic, the class format more enthusiastic, interactive and stuff like that. Okay. So if you have any suggestions, just let me know. And Ramesh, I'm still waiting for your comment. Okay, you said, can you please repeat the last line once again? Because there is a lag. Okay, and I don't really know which one you meant. All right, so now we see French phrases. We've seen German loan words. It's very typical of us to use a lot of French phrases. Because we are doing phrase replacement, I thought let's not just do French standalone words, we'll do it as phrases. Okay, cliché. Okay, cliché means stereotype. So let's say there is the Miss Universe or Miss World pageant, and the contestant is asked, okay, if you hadn't been a beauty contest contestant, what else would you have been doing now? If this weren't your ambition, what would have been your buffer? And typically the person says, you know what, I would have been a doctor, I would have been saving the world, I would have been finding a solution for world hunger. I would have been feeding hungry African kids and whatnot. Okay. So number one, yes, it's very racist. I shouldn't have said that. I just realized. Anyhow, so these are stereotypical answers that are expected from a beauty contest winner. Okay, so that is cliche, nothing but stereotype. Then we see creme de la creme. This literally means cream of the cream. Okay, creme de la creme means, the upper crest. Someone who's, on top of the pyramid. For example, you can probably say, you know what, these are the top 10 rankers of CAT this year. They are the creme de la creme of this year's CAT takers. Why? Because they've probably, beaten thousands, lakhs of students with their scores. Creme de la creme. Then there is cul-de-sac. Cul-de-sac means bottom of the sack. So this is the opposite of creme de la creme. Okay, when you've hit cul-de-sac, it's like rock bottom. Okay, so the nadir, that's another word that means the same. Yeah. Deja vu. I get the feeling somehow that this has happened before and I've seen it. This is what deja vu means. You've seen it before, you've heard it before, this has happened to you before. So there is a strange sense of, seeing stuff again and you can't quite place it. That is deja vu. Faux pas literally means false step. Okay, you know what, she was wearing purple lipstick and that's fashion faux pas, meaning a fashion false step. So this is seen as, a failure step. That is faux pas. Liaison. Liaison is link. Another word that means the same is nexus. But typically nexus is used in negative connotation. Okay, I was very surprised to know that my neighbor, whom I've been waving hi bye to for like 20 years, was arrested because of his nexus to terrorist organizations. Okay, so that is nexus. Typically it has a negative connotation. Liaison on the other hand is neutral. Okay, he was the liaison officer for a French organization in India. Then there is vis-a-vis. Okay, vis-a-vis means face to face. Okay, so you can say stuff like, this needs to be done vis-a-vis. Then there is au contraire, meaning in the contrary. People believe that sports people are very fit. Au contraire, we have this particular team which does not really meet sports fitness requirements. Okay, that's au contraire. And we come to the close of our class today. Okay, there's just one exercise question. Let's just wrap it up. Soup and salad are a wholesome food. Like fish and chips, soup and salad is one entity. So I would see this as singular. Okay, so are is the wrong verb. Okay, so I look for a singular verb, that is D, is soup and salad is a wholesome food. A mango is considered the king among fruits. Okay, it's never a mango, it's a fact. Okay, typically when you talk about facts, you say the mango, you mean the entire species. When you say a mango, it means just one particular mango fruit. When you say the mango, you mean the species as a whole. So D is your answer. So we summarize here. We've seen phrase replacement today. Okay. And we come to the conclusion of the class. Passport members, please go and do the CPP today right away. The CPP, for others who do not know what it is, it's a set of 10 questions that are curated based on this particular concept that I've been teaching you today. Okay. So make use of the concepts that you've learned. Go home and do your CPP. See how it goes and let us know. Please share your CPP if possible with others. It would be very helpful. Okay, thanks for joining us. See you then. Bye. Have a great day.